Hey y'all, Coach Bradley coming at you today, and we're going to chat a little bit about the SKLZ Rebounder Net. Let's get it. Now, I love the sport of baseball, but it's a game that usually you need multiple people if you want to practice and get better with, especially when it comes to defense. Well, in comes the SKLZ Rebounder Net that's going to help solve that problem if you want to increase your defensive skills and you just don't got anybody to play with. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick walk around of this thing today, show you how it works, show you some drills that you can do on it, and see if this might be the right option for you. Now, when you pick this thing up, it's going to come in a box that looks like this, and it's going to take you 20 minutes max from boxing to all the way up to put this thing together. All right, you don't need any tools because everything's just going to snap together just like that. And overall, I just want to point out how heavy duty this thing actually is. I don't know if you ever owned one of these things in the past, but usually they're fairly light duty. You know, the tubing isn't that strong. The netting really isn't that strong. And with this SKLZ, you're definitely getting what you're paying for here. It's just probably the most heavy duty rebounder system that I've ever seen for any type of sport out there. So one of the coolest things about this SKLZ rebounder is the fact that it has multiple different settings depending on what part of your game you want to work on. We're in the furthest back setting right here, which is going to be your pop fly setting. So all you do is throw it against this net. It's going to skyrocket that ball up in the air for you, and you can work on your pop flies. You go ahead and move this forward a notch. This is going to be your line drive setting, or if you're just working on basic throwing or pitching, it's just going to shoot the ball right back to you in kind of a line drive fashion. The third setting that it's got there, that right there is going to be your ground ball setting. All right, so you throw it at that, it's going to pop ground balls back to you. Now, another thing that I really like about this is most of these rebounders, they got a large footprint. You can't store them very easily. This thing folds right up, and then you got these nice little Velcro straps that you can strap around. So we'll be able to store this thing in our equipment room, and we don't got to leave it out to get weathered, which would eventually make it fall apart. All right, so we got this thing set up on the ground ball setting. Now, I coach baseball, but I'm old, so all I get to play is slow pitch softball these days. So I'm going to show you how this thing works with both a softball and a baseball. As you can see, it shoots them right down, and you're able to work on your ground balls. Let's throw a baseball against it. So now we got this thing set up in the middle, which is the line drive setting, and we'll go ahead and throw the softball and the baseball against it. Throw the baseball. Now, a couple things that I really like about this line drive or middle setting is the fact that you could work on pitching if you wanted to with this thing. You'll see that it's got a strike zone set up there, and with this setting, basically you could set yourself up at your 45 feet or your 60 feet 6 inches, and you can just work on throwing without having a catcher, and the ball is going to get back to you, so you can get lots of reps and you don't need a whole bucket of balls. Now we got this thing set in its third position, which is all the way back, and this is going to let us work on pop flies. One thing I like about this pop fly setting is that it's just not going to be your regular vanilla pop flies. You can work on a lot of different things depending on where you throw the ball on this net. So you can start closer, throw harder, get some of those over your head that you got to turn and burn on. You can get some movement either left or right depending on if you throw it on either side of the net. And so it's just not your standard, you know, basic pop fly every single time. So one thing you should have noticed from that angle is just how heavy duty this thing actually is. As I'm throwing against it, you notice this thing isn't bouncing around everywhere. I don't have any extra weight on it. It's just the, you know, the rebounder itself, and it just doesn't move around a bunch, okay? So I think that's pretty important because a lot of the lighter duty ones, you know, you get a big guy throwing against it, it's gonna be moving all over the place. So let's go ahead and close this thing out. Now, when it comes to rebounder nets, you got a lot of choices out there. But this truly is a case that you're going to get what you pay for. And this SKLZ Rebounder Net, it's top of the line. This thing can have multiple uses. I mean, I'm going to use this thing to practice for beer league softball. My high school age kids can use this thing and they're not going to terrorize it, all the way down to the 7 to 9 year olds that I coach as well. Another cool thing about this is the fact that it can be used for multiple sports. I know a lot of people that do volleyball and they use this net as well. So when it comes to my daughter, we'll be able to work some softball stuff, and we'll also probably work some volleyball things on it too. It's for all those reasons that it gets a Coach Bradley 2 thumbs up, and I'm gonna put this thing away, take off for the night. You go out and get you one.